Hi, Julian. Why is it so far away? Yeah. Right. So, how many of you have seen Rilakkuma on Netflix? Or Godzilla? Right. You're seeing the producer here on stage. So, Julian's spent 12 years in video streaming, having done work in original production, licensing, acquisition with Warner Brothers and Netflix. He produced shows like Terrace House, Aloha State, Rilakkuma, Godzilla, Monster Planet, just to name a few. Today, Julian is the founder and CEO of Blockpunk, a blockchain-powered video streaming platform. So, Julian, maybe you might want to tell us a little bit about why you started Blockpunk. And in our conversation, you also said something about the studio model being broken. Maybe you could also go into that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Sorry, I'm still excited about Liverpool. Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things. One is that, I could see some of the frustrations of the creators and the producers in developing content and delivering that to their fans. That was one thing, and I felt that with blockchain technology, there was a huge platform shift happening with the internet infrastructure, and I thought that this gave the creators a real chance to, basically make money in a new way, and also deliver content in a new, exciting way, in a much more direct way. And that was really the inspiration. And you talk about the studio model. I mean, I've kind of had like a ringside seat of how Hollywood has been changing over the past, 10 years. Essentially, there's a huge power shift going on. The power in the film and TV business is sort of shifting from Hollywood to Silicon Valley, basically because of the advent of these huge streaming platforms. And what you find is that there's a lot of power, a lot of centralization in just a small number of platforms. And blockchain really gives us the potential of decentralization and essentially giving a little bit more power back to the actual creators.
Okay. And, in our conversation earlier this week, you also brought up, something that fascinated me, or maybe kind of in a conspiracy theory kind of way. You mentioned that Netflix does not share data with producers. So how then do producers know what kind of shows to produce, and how do we prevent more Adam Sandler's movie from invading Netflix, for instance?
Well, if Netflix was sitting here, they would tell you that Adam Sandler is massively popular, even though it may not get the best critics awards. Yeah, I mean, I think data for producers is a really big issue in the streaming world. So the real question is, when everything becomes streaming, and everything is becoming streaming as the preferred method of delivering entertainment and film and TV to fans, if you're a producer, what is the best business model, right? In a world where there is no more, TV, obviously there's no more, DVD and Blu-ray and that sort of model. How do you make money, and what is the best business model for you, and how do you get, the data on what shows your fans want to watch, right? Because one of the things about streaming, which is a frustration for the producers, is that you don't get to see the data, right? So the basic business model of subscription streaming platforms is, it's a fixed fee, and there's no upside, So you could be the #1 show on the platform, and you get no extra money, and you would never know if you were the #1 show on the platform because the platform does not share data with you, right? So you're kind of planning your next show in the dark. So I think the thing for producers is that everybody needs to think about having a portfolio of different business models and different ways of, delivering and producing their content, basically, without necessarily relying on these huge streaming platforms.
Okay. And is Netflix the only platform that doesn't feed creators and producers data?
It's quite a standard thing for the subscription streaming platforms, right? So, and I'm not talking about anything, secret here, by the way. This is quite well reported, and you can find it in all the IR reports as well. But, it's a very similar thing across, the Amazons and the Hulus of the world as well.
Do you think producers actually appreciate not being given data? Because you mentioned how producers, they have their own voice, they have their own point of view, and that comes across in the works that they produced. So maybe without the data, they feel like they're maintaining some kind of integrity to their art or something. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that is an argument that goes across too well with most producers. Obviously, if you had the choice of knowing who's watching your content, where, what demographics, what the preferences want, obviously you'd want to know that in addition to all the other things, right? And so I think, studios and creators these days, they need to look at a portfolio of different data points, both on social, data that they get from their partners. Obviously, broadcast is one other data point. But it's going to become more and more of an issue in the future, the more and more we move into the streaming world.
And how does the peer-to-peer model of Blockpunk actually address this?
Yeah, so what we're saying is that there's another option for creators. And the way that we're using blockchain is we're saying, there's basically three, key functions in the entertainment world for creators, right? One is you can use it as a database to record your rights. So it's a way of managing your rights and protecting your rights, recording who made what, who owns what. And if you deliver content to a fan, you can also record the fan's ownership as well, right? So it's a complete game changer when it comes to recording rights. The second thing is this concept of digital scarcity. So by recording an asset on blockchain, you can control the quantity of that asset and create, scarce, amounts of digital content. And when I say digital content, it can be art, it can be video, or even, manga. And the last thing is really payments. Facebook had a big announcement recently about Libra. Making payments using digital money is so much more efficient than the existing payment methods that are out there. So, in the old days, I mean, the old days are still here, but in the old days, you make a movie, you make a TV show, you supply it to a platform, let's say, iTunes, and then, they send you a report at the end of the month, and they tell you, who's watched the show, and then, you get a payment, maybe later. Sometimes the report is wrong and there's a mistake in it. With digital money, as soon as the customer buys your movie or buys your TV show, you get paid instantly. And all the people in the chain who are entitled to a revenue share get paid at the same time as well. It's massively efficient. So, digital money and digital payment enabled by and blockchain is definitely coming, and I think things like Facebook Libra are going to make it even more, widespread.
So I visited your website, and I noticed that some artists have already put their anime art up for sale. So when a transaction goes through, who holds, the money? Like, is it held somewhere until the creators choose to withdraw it? What if you suddenly die and the key gets lost with you or something like that?
Don't lose your key. So look, I mean, blockchain is still in its infancy, right? So like losing your keys and a lot of usability issues like that are still being ironed out. It's kind of like the internet, in 1994, 1995. So if you're paying in Ether, we use Ethereum, then you would have an Ethereum wallet And then when the transaction takes place, based on the revenue share, which is coded into the smart contract, everybody gets paid instantly based on those percentages that have been agreed up front, right? And it's all traceable and trackable and transparent. Yeah, for digital currency, that's basically how it works. The money will stay in your wallet, right? Yeah, I mean, you have access to your wallet. You have to guard your wallet, just like you have to guard access to your bank account, in today's world.
Okay. And you'll be producing the first blockchain anime. And how does that work?
Yeah, so our company is very focused on the anime business. The reason we're focused on anime is just because I used to run the anime business at Netflix. It's a $20 billion category, global. Essentially the Netflix strategy in Japan is a lot of it is centered around anime because it's the only content that really travels outside of Japan. There are over 10 million passionate fans around the world. And so what we're doing is, we started off by tokenizing artwork from anime shows, working with anime producers and selling those assets and that artwork directly to fans around the world. The next thing we're going to do is actually tokenize the video. So you can take an anime show and a movie and create, limited edition copies of that movie and provide digital extras, exclusive extras like, audio commentary from the director, exclusive artwork, exclusive messages, delivered digitally from the director to the fan. All of that can be bundled in a package attached to a video token, and we can sell those tokens, right? And then when the fan has that token, it becomes a collectible item, but also they own it, right? And so they can then resell it if they want to, or gift it. And that's never really been possible before in the digital world. Like, in the old days, you could buy a Blu-ray box set, and I could give it to you, right? But in digital world, for some reason, we lost the ability to do that. But now we're sort of bringing that ability back with our platform. And we'll be announcing that next week, by the way, at Anime Expo. If anybody's going to be in LA on July 6th, little plug. Anime Expo is the biggest anime fan convention in the world. It's kind of like the Comic-Con of the anime world. So we'll be announcing it there.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can take some questions if there are some on Slido. No? Seems like there are no questions.
It's the last session of the day.
Yeah, everyone wants to go home and Netflix and chill. Oh, there's some. Okay. When you mean producing Godzilla, what did you do? Raise money, hire the director, arrange sales and distribution?
Yeah, I mean, producers is a very broad term. I mean, I was at Netflix and I was responsible for, doing the deal with Toho, the producer of the trilogy of Godzilla anime movies that was released on Netflix in 3 tranches. So basically, just putting that deal together and making it happen.
Oh, this is a nice one. Do you experience difficulty in getting producers who are not necessarily crypto savvy on board blockchain? Example, do they have difficulty using the digital wallets?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, basically, most film and TV producers have no idea about blockchain. They don't care about it, really. It's a big challenge. So you really have to be clear about the benefits that you're bringing. And it's like any other new technology. You go through an adoption curve. At the beginning, there's the early adopters. And then as it takes hold, you get to the late majority. So the studios and the creators that we're working with now are really the early adopters of the industry, the guys who can see a little bit further ahead in terms of the innovation curve and willing to experiment with new things, right?
And would you say that in the near future, people will eventually stream something online rather than the television? I think that's already happening.
We'll rather stream online than versus what?
Rather than the television versus the television.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that linear TV is really on the way out. And I think linear TV can still be great for things like live events, news, and sports. But in terms of entertainment and on-demand, I do think that streaming is going to become the norm.
And we have a question from the audience.
Hi, my name is Ash. The concept of what you just shared is really, really mind-blowing to me. And I feel that a lot of content creators would be very excited. But content can range from anime through to vlogs, through to artworks, pottery, and things like that, right? So I'd like to understand from your view, what is the criteria that makes content ideal for such a platform?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. What makes the content ideal for this platform? So, look, there's nothing really about the technology that makes the content better or not better. So ultimately, content is about telling stories. And you can tell the story a little bit better in high def, with great sound and 5.1 surround, and makes you more immersive. But, ultimately, the content is the content. So what I think is well suited to blockchain is the collectability. So fans want to have like a special experience or special access to the creators. They want to have something that they can collect that's unique. And I think that is something that is well suited to blockchain, because blockchain is a way of recording the content and making it provably scarce. So it works well in cases where you're creating limited editions, right? I think, platforms like YouTube and other places like that, if you just want the same thing over and over again to a mass market, other platforms are better suited to that. But if you're creating limited edition items with something special from the creator, I think that's something that's well suited.
Oh, I like this one. Will blockchain anime shift the viewership away from children who may not be capable of the digital purchase? Actually, you'll be surprised.
Shift the viewership away from children who may not be capable.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Sorry.
So basically, I think what the person is asking is if, for anime, a lot of the fans are actually kids, right?
Yep.
And so if you put it on the blockchain and they're not allowed to do these like digital purchase using cryptocurrency to purchase the content,
right,
will that kind of affect the viewership base and the demographic that...
Yeah, I mean, my experience with kids is that they're more tech savvy than most other people that I know, and if they want to watch something, they'll find a way of getting around it. And the reality is that, there are 200 anime shows that get produced every year in Japan. As soon as it's ready in Japan, either through legal or illegal means, it gets streamed worldwide. And people find a way of watching the content that they love to watch. So I do think that blockchain is in its early phase right now. It's got some usability issues to work through, but eventually we'll get over that, and it will be, available to kids as well.
So I think there was one about, will you be adding indie films and other kind of, genres onto Blockpunk platform?
Yeah, I mean, we're starting with anime because it's a space that we know well. I mean, we've got a lot of relationships with producers and studios in this space. But really, it's open to any creator. So our vision is the platform open to any creator. But we're just starting with anime because it's a place that we know well.
Does Blockpunk actually gather, say for instance, someone puts up a script or a initial drawing of an anime, and people buy the rights to produce it into like a movie or things like that?
So we're not doing that particular use case, but what we are looking at is crowdfunding new shows. So imagine you have an anime show and it costs, let's say, $300,000. Or $1 million, let's make it easy. You got $1 million production budget. What you can do is you can pre-sell tokens to that show. So let's say you sell 1 million tokens, each of them cost $1. And if you buy that dollar token, you get the right to watch the anime show first, before everyone else, right? And we can deliver that video to you because we know you're the token holder. And we could give you other things like production credits, give you special access to the creator, the filmmakers. So I do think there is a real potential here to have a new way of crowdfunding and producing new shows using this technology.
Maybe I saw one question about how do you apply the blockchain in a non-cryptocurrency way? I think that's a very good question for anyone who's always thinking blockchain is Bitcoin and Ethereum. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we're not religious about. We're not religious about stuffing blockchain down the throats of people, right? So we're very practical. We support digital currency, but also we support credit cards as well. So you can pay for things using regular currency. It's just less efficient to use credit cards. It just is. Costs more, and takes longer to process, etc. But we do support it because most people in the world still have credit cards rather than having digital currency. So we're going to be practical about it.
All right, I think that's all the time we have. It says time is up. Please wrap up. So thank you, Julian, and thank you for all the wonderful questions. He's going to be around, so feel free to bombard him with more questions. I just volunteered you for more work.
Yeah, thank you.